And it's Pete Carroll's comment was he had a great week of practice, but I think he's really valuable to them. Like they change to a physical team when he's out there, but he is just not. They have to go out and draft another running back to this team. They really do. They need to. Pete Carroll's teams have always at their best been physical. Marshawn Lynch teams, his USC teams when he had Lendale White and Reggie Bush. Matt Leinart got a lot of the headlines, but they ran the football.
No, Pete likes to run it first. I think that's probably forever going to be part of his legacy.
That's who he is.
He would rather run it. So, I mean, he's not going to be. Carlos Hyde will play tonight after missing the last 3 games with a hamstring injury.
Still good. Carlos can play.
He's had 31 carries, 125 yards, and 2 touchdowns in 4 games this season. DJ Dallas will also play tonight. Travis Homer is listed as doubtful. They are averaging 116.4 rushing yards per game, the 13th in the league.
And with Chris Carson, that'd probably be closer to 140.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what Pete's been talking about. Like the whole let Russ cook thing came from he wants to run the ball first. He doesn't want to rely on Russell Wilson to make all the plays. It opens it up. Obviously, having a running game component is crucial to anyone. Like this is not news. When you have a weapon like Russell Wilson, you want to kind of lean on it, or you feel like you can lean on it. And Pete Carroll doesn't want to do that. But you've got to have available running backs in order to do that. So that's kind of one of the issues that they're running into this season. Also, I mean, you talked about it yesterday. Keeps your defense off the field, which is obviously a big hole for them.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs' only loss this season was to the Raiders, who they play again on Sunday night. And a great weekend of NFL games. And Patrick Mahomes is extremely motivated to avoid the season sweep.
I think anytime you lose to anyone, next time you play them, you want to win the football game. I mean, if you're not ready to go in this game, I'm playing a divisional opponent, playing against a good football team, you know it's going to mean a lot going towards the AFC West standings, then you're not in the right sport. And we'll be ready to go, I promise you that.
By the way, we keep just, the Raiders won. Raiders keep winning a lot of games. Just I want to make it out there. By the way, we know the Saints are good, right? The Raiders owned them in the second half, and they beat the Chiefs. So I just throw it out there. Everybody in the world likes the Chiefs this week. I'm just saying the Raiders keep winning games.
The Raiders keep winning. They're just very they're just like winning boring.
No, they run the football and they do safe passing.
Yeah, they're 6-3, so they're right there. And this is a really big game. Like Patrick Mahomes hasn't lost an opponent twice in one season since before the Patriots. He's only done it once. The Patriots in 2018. And they lost 40-32 in Week 5 to the Chiefs.
Here's the difference. You know what the Raiders are, Joy? I just thought of this. They're the Minnesota Vikings. The difference is the Vikings lost 2 one-point games, and the Raiders have won a couple of close games. They are boring offensively with a pretty safe quarterback. They've got a great running game. Defense bad with maybe 1 pass rusher and 1 good linebacker. And, but I mean, if you look at the Raiders and the Vikings, the difference is Minnesota lost 2. They lost, I think, Seattle and Tennessee by a point. If not, the Vikings, what are they, 4-5? They would be 6-3. They would be the Raiders.
This is a really big game.
It's a huge game.
It's a division rivalry. So, to Patrick Mahomes' point, you got to be ready to go in a game like this. I'm going to lean the Chiefs, even though I know I'm going to make a big deal out of the bulletin board material of them doing a lap around Arrowhead. But who knows? The Chiefs may lean into that. The Patriots came up with all kinds of reasons that they were being, attacked in the media and doubted. And when you're at the top, sometimes you need just tiny little pieces of motivation to remind yourself to go out there and give it a little extra. So Joe Burrow has been living up to the hype through his first 9 games in the NFL, but he says he doesn't care about personal stats. It's only about getting wins for the Bengals.
Hey, Joe, outside of the obvious wins and losses, how will you measure success over the final 7 weeks of the season for you personally and for the team?
Wins and losses.
I love that answer.
Burrow and I are going to end up being good friends. I'm going to make a prediction right now. But
he's a very Colin-like quarterback.
I got to be honest with you. We will be good friends by the end of his career. I'll make it happen because I love this kid.
Well, Joe, if we're going to keep it real, which we do around here, I was much higher on you before the draft.
She was, but she's very petty, and if you have a bad streak, she'll bail on you. I won't. Joy will bail on you.
I love this answer, though. Isn't that a great answer?
Well, it's again, people make fun of me for saying I like my presidents to be presidential.
Yes.
Yeah, we're seeing how that works when they're not.
Obvious why.
And I like my quarterbacks to be quarterback heel. I know. The Drew Locks, the Bakers, the silliness. It never works out. I like my presidents to have some refinement. You're the president of not one side or the other. You're the president of the United States, all of us. Act like it. And if you're a quarterback for a $3 billion franchise, get over the awards and stats. Who gives a rip? Win games.
Well, at the end of the day, you can have all those awards and stats, but if it never translates into wins, your career is not going to be anything anyway. So this is the right attitude to have. I mean, if you look at their 2 wins, they beat the Titans. He was not sacked at all in that game.
How could I be friends with him?
Well, I think you can continue to say nice things about him. We're in COVID, so it's gonna be a little difficult to
probably not be able
get
to
some steaks.
Yeah.
But maybe you'll come on the show sometime.
That'd be great.
We'd be happy to have you, Joe. And
We'd love to have you, Joe. We love you.
And talk about your season. They play Washington this weekend, so
yeah, I like him in this game.
That's a game I like the Bengals in.
Here's the thing about Cincinnati. Not only is Burrow been asked to start with a shaky O-line, their schedule is brutal. You got to play the Ravens twice, and the Steelers twice, and the Browns twice, and their schedule's been brutal.
I mean, that's why they went and got him. You get your quarterback. Now it's on them next season to put the right pieces around him.
It's amazing how much quarterback changes it. I never really, nothing against Cincinnati, but I don't pay attention to them. Now with Burrow, I'm doing all their mock drafts last night. Because last night I was all over NFL mock drafts. As I watched the NBA draft, I was all into the Bengals draft last year and what they need.
Yeah.
And all. Because now Joe Burrow sucked me in emotionally, so now I'm all into the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes, and he's obviously the top of the Rookie of the Year.
Should be. Yeah.
Odds right now, but he's playing incredible despite having to run around. He's been sacked 31 times in the rest
brutal.
of their games.
Don't even want to hear that.
So you can really just look at that stat and sum up their season.
And hit probably twice as much.
Yeah.
Joy Taylor with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Lie News.
Huge game tonight. Kyler Murray. I think it's Kyler's biggest game of his career because now it's not a regional TV game. It's a national TV game. You're in first place. You're being talked about as the MVP of the league, which is just something that happened like an hour ago. And so all the expectations for Kyler, now he's not the pesky underdog running around in the desert. Now it's up in the Northwest trying to beat a legend, Russ Wilson. And Albert Breer is joining us Monday Morning Quarterback, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. And it was funny. So when he got drafted, I didn't know if he'd make it. I was like, gosh, he's kind of small. And then Joey and I have been joking. By last year, game 2, I said on the air, outside of the state of Arizona, I am watching more Arizona Cardinal football. I've watched every start. I find him to be fascinating. Yeah. And there's no question today he is a significantly better quarterback than a year ago. He's getting better.
Yeah.
But it does feel like, Albert, after that Hail Mary now, we have put him in an MVP conversation. And my question is, are you surprised by it? Is he ready for it?
I'm not surprised by it. We've seen it the last 3 years in a row, right? Carson Wentz was probably the MVP of the league until he got hurt in 2017. And the last 2 years, you got Patrick Mahomes winning it in 18 and Lamar Jackson winning it in 19. I think what happens, Colin, is these teams have an advantage. When you've got a rookie quarterback who can really play, who's capable of giving you veteran-type production, and he's still on his rookie contract, you're capable of taking chances around him and giving him a lot of infrastructure. And you saw it with Patrick Mahomes the season before he got the starting job. They bring in Sammy Watkins, Lamar Jackson. They draft Hollywood Brown. They bring in Mark Ingram to help him. And we see it with DeAndre Hopkins now, who's on the other end of that play. And so Kyler Murray can really play. There's no question about it. But there's something to this part of it, too, that teams have really been able to take advantage of having quarterbacks who can play at a young age that are still on rookie contracts. We saw the Rams ride it to a Super Bowl. We saw the Chiefs win a Super Bowl in that circumstance. We saw the Eagles win a Super Bowl in that circumstance. I don't think it's any mistake that we're seeing a lot of guys mature fast. Part of it's that teams are being more creative and adaptable offensively, so those guys are ready to play earlier. But a big part of it is you're capable of putting a lot of infrastructure around them early in their careers because they're on cheap deals.
Well, expectations for Jameis Winston. They play suddenly semi-hot Atlanta twice. Tom Brady's had a few breaks in his career. Breeze getting hurt could end up being a break as he could go back and take over first place. Or, as I'm predicting, Jameis with a very efficient, driven head coach will make fewer mistakes. And I think the Saints are going to win their next 3 games. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, they were 5-0 with Teddy Bridgewater last year, right? So this isn't unprecedented. And, I think if you want to look at how prepared Jameis is, I'll take you inside the building, Colin. He's been the backup, the last 2 months. This wasn't a last week type of thing. He's been the number 2 quarterback because Taysom Hill's been pulled away to work on special teams, to work as a skill position player. Jameis Winston has been working, in effect, as the number 2 quarterback for 2 months, and he's been doing that under Sean Payton and alongside Drew Brees, you can't help but learn a lot in that circumstance. And, he's got great infrastructure around him, too. One of the best offensive lines in football, guys like Teron Armstead and Ryan Ramczyk. Great skill position talent, Mike Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, Alvin Kamara, Jared Cook. It's an awesome situation for him to walk into. And, yeah, they lose a little bit with Drew